Welcome to this week's episode of Africa. I am in the hub of art right here in Harare, and I'm coming to you with three artists, two who are brothers, and they're making history this year by being the very first dual brother pair to come through and have an exhibition since 1992, and that is you and Tashishka Mubaiwa. And in the final segment, I'm going to have Shalom, who's a visual performance artist. Stay tuned. This is iAfrica. iAfrica searches for inspiration and innovation in all areas of popular culture, from fashion and design through to architecture, art, food, and travel. The focus is on outstanding individuals doing extraordinary things on the African continent. The show presents creatives in their home nations, visiting renowned designers, musicians, architects who are leaving their mark on the young continent. Join me, your host, Rugarem Duhani, as we take a round trip across Africa and get to be inspired, motivated, and future-oriented. iAfrica, celebrating the African story. Welcome to the very first segment of iAfrica. When you think of traditional African instruments in the Zimbabwean context, you automatically think of the ngoma, the hosho, your Mbira, and I'm excited to be joined by one of the women who in this country are known as the Mbira maestros, and that's Hope Masike. Hello, Hope.
Hello.
Hope, let's go down memory lane. I want to find out from you, how did the journey start? How did you get into music? What drew you in?
Well, that's an interesting question because you see, when it's your calling, when it's your gift, it means so I've always known myself to sing kumba. I was the child but the good thing was my entire family is musical. Every evening we would sing together. AFM, my hymn tournament every evening. So music was always in my life. But professionally, then I started later in life after my A-levels. Immediately after my A-levels, I actually went to study fine art. So I only studied music after fine art. Then I ended up at College of Music, Zimbabwe College of Music, and then I studied for my first musicology degree proper. And they had a very heavy thrust an ethnomusicological thrust. So we were studying a lot of our Zimbabwean music, Mozambican music, a bit of jazz, and then the usual musicology stuff, Western music, piano, guitars, and stuff like that. That was my orientation, your Pindamo music industry professionally. And while we were still in school, I started my first band, the usual story, with your classmates. Next thing, we were playing at the Book Cafe on Tuesday evenings, and then from then, as they say, it was history.
Girl.
Yep.
I absolutely love that. Now, when we're talking about that history, I've got so many questions from there. Because I'm seeing you as a girl band.
Girl bands are not very easy to have, which is why I love girl bands a lot. Because you will find, if we look at guitarists in Zimbabwe, we have like a million male guitarists. If you're looking for a female one, there are very, very few. So to have a proper girl band, it's not an easy one to do. But when you do it, it's beautiful, even aesthetically, just visually, it's beautiful. And then the sound is also very feminine, warm. Yeah, one day I'll do it. Once in a while, I have a trio where it's only us, three girls playing Mbira, and it's really beautiful from the music, everything. Yeah.
I can actually envision it as well. What led you to pick the Mbira and, hold it to your heart the way that you do?
And then I'll give you a cliche answer, but which is very true. I like saying the Mbira chose me. Oh. So when we were at the College of Music studying, we were forced to learn all instruments, the ones you like, the ones you don't like. You had to learn them. You had to listen to all types of music, the type of music you like, the type of music you don't like. But while we were studying all these instruments, Mbira was one of the instruments that came much easier for me. And I also loved Mbira because like the very first person who taught me Mbira was a lecturer's friend while I was still doing fine art. And he asked us why we wanted to learn Mbira. And I remember expressly saying, I want to make money, but with something that is purely mine, something that my ancestors have left me. Ndio nakaka proper. I want to make money from nakaedu. So that's the other thing I loved about Mbira. Whatever I then do with this instrument, it's like I'm carrying my roots with me wherever I go. And that has been a beautiful journey.
Yeah, and that actually sounds beautiful. I'm inspired. As we're speaking of inspiration, you talked about your journey as you were going to school. Can you talk to the child that's watching right now who's got a passion for music, but they're like, no, but there's an importance to getting that education. Can you please speak to that child?
Oh, yeah. Child. The Nelson Mandelas were not wrong when they were saying education is the key that will unlock, well, they say success, but it will unlock a lot of great opportunities for you. So whatever talent you have, whether you're musical, whether you're sporty, whether you love politics, whatever it is you love, education inongotutsira so, and it's also giving respect to the gift that God gave you. This and that, your toolbox, new things, and in this day and age where things are changing every minute, you need to keep up. So education is important. But one important thing when we talk about education, people think of the formal education, you got a desk, but education is so broad. When you sit down with your grandma and she's teaching you something, that is education. But you can just go online, by YouTube, you find tutorials for just about anything and everything. You got AI to help you with anything these days. So education just means your knowledge of something, and you should always be at it. You think, and my A-levels, then it's just the beginning. You are always learning. An intelligent person knows that they don't know. You should always be learning.
I know that right now in your journey, you are marrying fashion and music. I mean, look at your outfit, girl. It's giving. Let's talk about this part of your journey right now.
Traditionally, what I believe, in Africa, art was, I don't think we had a word for art, let alone for fashion, for visual art, but it was within the functionality of things, it was a part of life. So we divided those things later now. Now this is fashion as a standalone, this is film as a standalone, but it's one thing. The principles are the same. You talk about composition, you talk about arrangement, you talk about color coordination, color schemes. The principles are the same. The aspects of each art form are the same. So a marrying of them really is just bringing together forces from people who are gifted differently, but we are in exactly the same realm. And when it comes to fashion, I mean, what better way to collaborate in music? A lot of musicians have been doing that for ages. It defines the brand, it defines the kind of music that you're doing, and it also opens other avenues of looking at your artwork. So I'm really having fun being in the gallery, looking at different artworks and then getting inspiration from that. What kind of a song would you write if you're looking at this, or if you're using it in a video or in a photo shoot? So recently we had this beautiful collaboration with Sabina Mutsvati, visual artist, Nyasha Gurure, who's a photographer, and then I was wearing Sabina Mutsvati's clothes with Nyasha taking the photos. It was amazing. Groundbreaking.
I have nothing to add to that because those were such rich, wise words. I cannot top that. Thank you. This was our first segment with Hope Masike. Stay tuned. I've got the woman who came up with the concept herself, and she's definitely going to blow your mind. iAfrica searches for inspiration and innovation in all areas of popular culture, from fashion and design through to architecture, art, food, and travel. The focus is on outstanding individuals doing extraordinary things on the African continent. The show presents creatives Harare Mdumani as we take a round trip across Africa and get to be inspired, motivated, and future oriented. Africa, celebrating the African story. Welcome to the second segment of Africa, where I'm joined by multidisciplinary artist Sabina Mutsvati. She has this phenomenal art piece, this phenomenal exhibition that speaks to the girl child. I've been inspired, and I know you definitely will be inspired as well. Hello, Sabina. Sabina, your exhibition has an amazing name and an amazing concept that I can't wait for you to share with the viewers. Let's start with the name of the exhibition.
The exhibition was called Shona. I can't really describe Shona because, you know, in English, a lot of things get lost in translation. So probably I'll explain it in Shona. Kana muna Shona ngorwa nditi anenge achipiwa respect nema in-laws ake. Like panoroorwa mukadzi achipinda mumusha mevanhu panoitwa maceremonies anoitwa, and then mangwana makusiyana nomuka kusenseni zuva risati rabuda otsvaira zvivanzi zvana amwene vake achivaudza kuti ndini ndamuroora wemusha muno, and then kana apedza anoisa marara ake ari mahipi amwene vake ana amwene vemusha vanozonoisa a token of appreciation to say we welcome you into our family.
Yo, I've learned. I love that background, but what inspired you to actually name the exhibition that name?
I had a conversation with the curator of the National Gallery, she was like, you need to do work for International Women's Month. And then I was like, that's easy. And then I went home and then I was like, that's not easy. Okay, what can I create or do that brings women from different races, from different continents together? What is it, that one act that we can all do together in different parts of the world? And then I figured, okay, munano chaira. Everyone has had a run with the broom at some point, whether you are young, you're old, middle-aged, saladi, chichi, at some point, not broom. So that's like across the board, right? And then I was like, but what's the most important or the most celebrated part? Yemchairo, kwatiri susu madzimai. And then I was like, okay, murora anopinda mumusha. Yes, and it's the beginning of a new journey. And it's every day Maxine is the beginning of a new day. People make prayers in the morning. So I was like, okay,
I love how you have described the inspiration, but what then inspired you to turn muchairo, like something that we use every day, into clothing? Is a true creative?
Because I thought of muchairo, right? I couldn't use a broom. Because indigenously, I see Zimbabwe. And I wanted something that's truly Zimbabwean, something that as Zimbabweans we can identify with. So I thought, broom. Since I'm a designer and an artist as well, like a visual artist, right? Like a fine artist. But I'm passionate about fashion. An installation. Ina amweni ni varora vavo anditi saka varora, if you had seen the exhibition, they like half figures vaitonge vari kneeling, and then I was like, so the amweni has to be big, because for years she's been holding on this family together. You know, a lot has happened, you know, achingoshandisa broom. So now there's this person aruguyao, so she has a lot on her shoulder. As the head of the family, you have a lot of weight on your shoulders. So I wanted to make the dress like really big. Yeah.
That is so beautiful. I know that you're going to be reinstalling it. Where are you going to be reinstalling it for those people that actually want to come and experience this for themselves?
The exhibition is going to be somewhere in Avondale. I'll share details on my social media page, but I'm going to be reinstalling it next week. Yeah. You
also mentioned that you're a designer. Yes. Let's talk about that aspect of your work. How do you incorporate that? How does the art come through into your designs?
I think it started when I was in college, like when I was doing like fine art. And, I just realized that a lot of people do their art on canvases, And then I was like, where can I also show my work, which is not like in a closed space? And then I was like, okay, I can design clothes and then put my artwork onto the clothes and people can move around wearing the artwork, right? So I started off by designing for like musicians, like stage. And it was an honor to have like Chonizo Marere, like my first piece. So that was like really amazing. So we'd do like a lot of paintings, we'd mix different types of fabrics, yeah.
That was Sabina Mutsvati. And as you can see, you can turn a little thing that you use every day that you think is something minuscule, and you can turn it into an amazing, breathtaking piece of art. Stay tuned for our third and final segment where I have the photographer who was behind the visuals you were seeing. iAfrica searches for inspiration and innovation in all areas of popular culture, from fashion and design through to architecture, art, food, and travel. The focus is on outstanding individuals doing extraordinary things on the African continent. The show presents creatives in their home nations, visiting renowned designers, musicians, architects who are leaving their mark on the young continent. Join me, your host, Rugarim Duhani, as we take a round trip across Africa and get to be inspired, motivated, and future-oriented. iAfrica, celebrating the African story. Welcome to the third and final segment of this week's edition of iAfrica, where I'm joined by the final piece of the puzzle, because this exhibition that we're talking about didn't just need one person, it didn't need two, it needed three visionary women to pull it together. And the final piece of the puzzle is Nyasha Gurure, who's a multi-award winning artistic photographer. Welcome to the show, Nyasha. Nyasha, for the viewer that's saying, wait, what does she mean artistic photographer? I thought as long as ndangobata my phone or a camera, I'm a photographer. Please break it down for the viewers.
There's a very, very big difference between just a photographer and an artistic photographer. Now, an artistic photographer is a blend of art and photography. So when you are talking about photography, it's light and everything, the whole composition. But then now, if it's artistic, it means that now we are now telling a story from the image. It's not just a picture where I know that every picture has got a story, but then when we are speaking of art, we are talking about elements compiled, even the light, the composition, everything is sending a message. That's what we say it's artistic photography. You cannot just pick a camera and just take a picture. You have to think art, think deep. That's what we call artistic photography.
In your own capacity, what are you doing right now to help people understand this side of photography?
Yeah, so after seeing like a lot of misunderstandings, because when I started this, like my own side is on bringing more of the African pride. I usually take melanin girls, those who are, those chocolate girls, and then I take pictures to bring back the pride of Africa, to bring back our own pride as Africans. And mostly when people were seeing all this, they would give some nasty comments about the art. People didn't understand. Like I remember the first portrait that I released, they were like, oh, that's Satanism. But then it was just pure art and a story of how someone was in more of being captured by their own mind and everything. But now I can see that people, bit by bit, they are now understanding the story. And what I now try to do, like I actually had to open an art space where I now educate people about art. It's actually a school of photography, but not only you would discover that you are not learning photography, it's actually a school where you are learning art. But I also run what I call some creative business gatherings, where I just gather creatives and just basic people so that they can at least get into our world and understand. Because honestly speaking, we live in two different worlds. What they see on something and what we see, these are two different things. And we really wish that people could understand that this is more than a picture, it's valuable, like how it's done in other countries. If they see African artworks, they can bid thousands, but here they won't understand anything. If you actually take 2,000 on an artwork, they don't understand. A few people really understand what art means. So now we are trying to run different things, different exhibitions, different gatherings, and actually trying to get the younger generation, because it seems like our parents, it's now too late, although some, they will try to understand now, but we are trying to push, especially the younger generation, so that they understand that the future is actually art. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely love that. I'm inspired. Talking of inspiration, let's talk about this exhibition that you were a part of. How did you get roped in?
I think that actually Hope Masike, like I've been doing different photographs for her. But then usually when we were doing our pictures, we would just compile our own things, take different elements. We would craft different things together and just come up with some artworks. But then on this one, she knew that I would be excited because it was all natural. Usually, a lot of people, they call me for collaborations when they design their beautiful dresses and stuff. But I have a few that I want, like I want the natural, something that is not diluted, something that is not sprayed and too much of everything. I just want the natural. So she knew that I would be very, very interested. So then she told me, oh, there is this exhibition, so we can collaborate, get into the dress and capture something. And when I saw the dress that was made by Sabina, I was like, okay, now we are talking. This is it. And I knew that it was going to be a bomb.
And it truly was a bomb.
Yes, it definitely it was, yeah.
When you're speaking about this exhibition, you truly captured the essence of the dress. What was the inspiration behind the lighting that you used and the setup as well?
As an artistic photographer, I had to show my skill of art. I had to get into the world of the artist who actually made the dress. So I had to read about, like I had to get into her thoughts and try to really grasp what she was trying to envision and imagine. And I noticed that she was able to give us the message, but also we had to capture the message and just freeze it. So what I did was I was thinking, because she said it's about Navamwene, Varora, our culture and stuff. And then I thought, okay, so, Kana Munuchiti, she's sweeping in the morning. It should be very early, very, very early. And so, yes, Muskana Ayedzero, it should be early. So now the thing is, so I was now thinking, okay, so early in the morning, what do we see? Number one, there is sunrise. That is there. And number two, the thing that we see also, it's the, I think, just the mood that is there is the sunrise mood. Then also I was like, okay, so who is seeing her? Because as a photographer, I should capture a picture as if I'm watching someone. So the thing that came into my mind was like, okay, I think the birds, those are the things that really see her, the birds of the air. Usually when you wake up early in the morning, you hear the birds singing. Those are the ones that are usually moving around. So I said, okay, I think I can capture this image from a bird eye view, as if I'm a bird seeing her, doing her thing. So that's why so that's why the portrait was taken from above. It was a view from the bird's eye. And then the light, I had to imitate the sunrise. So I didn't put much baba light on here, no, because that was going to kill the whole essence of a sunrise. So I had to just play around with light that was just coming from a certain angle, just like how God brings the first light in the morning. Yes. So it was really, really interesting. But the other image actually was from below. So I was just imagining that maybe when she's sweeping, she's actually waking up the ants, those that crawls from the ground. So it's like an ant holding a camera and catching. Okay, I see you. Yeah. So that's what really inspired me, and until now I really get goosebumps from the whole shots.
What can I say? Brown skin girl. Yes, brown skin girl. There's a place for you. Nyasha is telling your story, and you, as an artist, can also rise up and begin to tell your beautiful, melanated African story. Thanks for tuning in. This has been iAfrica with me, Rugare Mndokwani, and I'll see you next week. And make sure you stay creative. iAfrica searches for inspiration and innovation in all areas of popular culture, from fashion and design through to architecture, art, food, and travel. The focus is on outstanding individuals doing extraordinary things on the African continent. The show presents creatives in their home nations, visiting renowned designers, musicians, architects who are leaving their mark on the young continent. Join me, your host, Rugare Mndokwani, as we take a round trip across Africa and get to be inspired, motivated, and future-oriented. iAfrica, celebrating the African story.